Welcome in, everyone. I'm glad you're here today because I'm going to be starting something new. And it's this large canvas which I was using to do the La Jour demonstration. And you can check out those videos if you'd like to know how to La Jour. It's actually a wall treatment, but I was demonstrating it on the canvas. And now I've decided, because of some comments, that I'm going to transform this into a veil painting, except I'm not going to have it be the traditional veil painting, but I'm going to start out with something that is akin to veil painting, using water-based oil paints, which I'll show you in a second, and then I'm going to let it evolve into a sort of underpainting or composition for the painting that I'm actually going to achieve. This week I looked up on Wikipedia the definition of veil painting, and if you check it out, you'll see that it talks about the rule being that each layer has to dry before the next one is layered. But also I can tell you that veil painting itself doesn't start with any particular theme or motif in mind, but as you paint through the color gestures, forms, and the tonal spaces that you create, you'll find images that speak to you and that you want to bring forward. So this is really one of the most fundamental advantages to starting like this, because it allows you to create from your imagination, not preconceived ideas, but rather a kind of underpainting that you can use to create your composition. So if you're applying on canvas like this and you're using this water-based oil, you might notice that it does tend to want to fall with gravity and create drips. And you may not want that. And as I've said, if you go back in and blend, that is going to create a certain streak. So what you need to do is control the amount of color on the brush, particularly as we get deeper into the painting. So for example, if we go up here to a dry area and I start applying this yellow, which as you can see has quite a bit of pigment in it, but it has a little bit less water than what I had before. And that allows the veil to go on in such a way where we aren't getting a lot of that dripping. We're just getting lighter color as the veil loses some of its pigment on the brush. And it can get quite light, rosy color. Well, this is, we don't want it to be streaky, and you can see this is more challenging than watercolor. You really have to stir it into the saucer. And what we're doing here is we are, you could say, evolving the technique of veil painting a little bit, in that we're not just doing what has been done before us, but I'm taking off a little bit, both in terms of the medium, not using watercolor and painting on canvas here, but also I'm a little bit freer than some of the other techniques where you are bound by certain prescribed laws or methods that somebody made up in order to create a kind of effect. This is much freer, and I'm just using veil painting as a very helpful starting tool. But I can be quite liberal and free about my application. I don't have to work with, say, the fall of gravity. It does help to let the veils come down, because obviously that's the way that the water is going to want to move through the color. But you can also move the veil in abstract forms like this. The only real hard and fast rule with veil painting is that each layer needs to dry completely before you lay on the next layer. All right, ready? Okay, so I'm going to try now to apply this as if it were a watercolor. It is a water-based oil, so it's going to be a little bit richer, as you can see. And one of the challenges in that is, of course, getting it not to be streaky. And I am not going back in there where it's wet as much as I would like to, but I'm going to go around it, lightening the edges with less color as I go. And this is gonna push the veil painting along a lot quicker, and I'll be much more pleased. Right now I'm just gonna get out some colors that are the water-based oil paints and may have some similar quality to what is already on the canvas. I'm going to be going with some colors that are primary, sort of a rose red, then these mixtures of yellows, and I'll get to the blues in a minute. But what you do after you get it out is be the same thing as with regular veil painting. Add water to the saucer and then take a brush and let's mix up some color into the saucer. And as you can see, it's going to be quite quick to get a really good color. This color is very similar to what I have right over here on the canvas. Can you get a close-up of this? Okay, stop.